Alrighty, tissue transplants, right? Tissue transplants, yes? Very common to do an autograft. Auto means self, right? That is this. If you get a skin graft, right? Right? That's from yourself. Yes. Went to school with a young lady. She got a spider bite. It got infected. It was very deep. They had to cut it out. They got rid of the infection. And then what do? They cut a postage stamp off her fanny and they stuck it over that leg, right? So it would heal back. See, auto meaning yourself. You get it from yourself. ISO. ISO is going to mean, ISO means equal, right? From a twin that's genetically the same as you are. Yes? Allograft means the same species, right? Yes, maybe they take a ACL from a cadaver, or they take some bone from a cadaver. Okay, that's an allograft. And a xeno, right, meaning from another animal species. As in, they take pig valves out of pigs, and when a person has a bad, say, mitral valve or aortic valve, then they will replace it with pig valve. Okay, so that's a xenograft. And again, auto meaning yourself, commonly the skin graft. ISO if you got an identical twin. Allograft meaning again cadaver bone or cadaver tendon, and xeno from a pig or from another species. Okay, right? Now, let's talk about people that have a heart transplant or a kidney transplant, this and that. Yes. What is the overwhelming cause of death in those folks?
Rejection?
Okay, that's a very good guess, but no.
Blood clot?
No, that's also a very good guess, but no. If you have a heart transplant, now I got to meet my older brother, 4 years older than me. His father-in-law had a heart transplant. Long story, but anyway, okay? The overwhelming cause of death in those people is they get an infection. An infection kills them. How come? Because they're taking drugs to suppress their immune system all the time so they don't reject their organ, right? But what happens is when you suppress your immune system, if you catch a germ and you get sick, you can die, okay? That's very common. It says by 10 years after the transplant, 50% of the people have rejected their donor organ, okay, by 10 years, okay? Okay, let's talk about the autoimmune diseases, right? The autoimmune diseases, okay? It says the loss of the ability to distinguish friend from foe. The body produces antibodies and cytotoxic T cells against itself. 5% of Americans have autoimmune disease, right? And guess what? 2/3 of these people are what? Men or women?
Women.
Women. Right? And we don't know exactly why, but we think maybe it's because women have a better immune system and a stronger immune system than men. But anyway, okay? And there's a bunch of different ones. Let's just go through a couple, okay? Rheumatoid, right? Rheumatoid, where you eat the joints. Your body attacks the cartilage on the joints. You get what's called pannus formation, and the joints break down. Myasthenia gravis, okay, impairs the communication between the nerves and the skeletal muscles, right, at the synapse. Multiple sclerosis, right, where you break down the myelin sheath on the nerves and such, okay. And then next, Graves' disease. Graves' disease is hyperthyroid, right, when your body attacks its own thyroid, makes excessive amounts of thyroxine, right? And remember, Graves' disease, the hallmark of Graves' disease is exophthalmos. Exophthalmos meaning bulging eyes, right? Bulging eyes, raccoon eyes, right? Exophthalmos. Okay? Now, type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is very complicated. Some people are genetically more prone to getting that, and then they will catch a disease, a virus, and it becomes full-blown, and their beta cells and their pancreas won't secrete insulin after that, and they gotta have insulin. Okay? Systemic lupus erythematosus, pardon me, SLE, they call it. SLE, some of the folks with lupus have what's called a butterfly rash. They have kind of a purple rash across their face, okay? And lupus is very hard, and usually they go to 4 or 5 doctors before they get identified with it and such, because it will mimic so many other diseases, lupus. It's very hard. And finally, glomerulonephritis, okay? Glomerulonephritis, and that, of course, is, we haven't done the kidney chapter yet. We will pretty soon. Pardon me. I run home, eat a bunch of food, and then run up here, and it's not really good for the digestion, right? After you eat a nice meal, you should sit down, relax, enjoy life a little bit, not stand up for 3 hours. But anyway, glomerulonephritis, right? Severely impairs renal function. Your kidneys become attacked, right? Okay. Let's talk about hypersensitivities, right? Hypersensitivities, right? Okay. Can come in the form of allergies. Yes, certain times of the year, the ragweed pollen comes out and you get the hay fever. Yes? Pardon me, because it's around. The mast cells and the basophils give off histamine. You get the runny nose, can get hives, your eyes get watery. And if you breathe it in, right, asthma, okay? We're going to talk more about asthma in a future chapter, okay? And then some people are allergic to different medicines, and they'll get stomach cramps and diarrhea, throw up, get a headache, get a rash, all different things, okay? But now let's talk about anaphylaxis or anaphylactic shock. Anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis or anaphylactic shock, right? That is people that are very hypersensitive. And it can be to a bee sting. It can be to certain foods. I have a niece. She's definitely allergic to peanuts. Okay? And such. And these are pretty rare. Okay? But the allergen enters the bloodstream and rapidly circulates through the body. And what happens is their tongue swells up, their bronchioles get small, can't breathe, right? All of a sudden they get sudden vasodilation. And their blood vessels, boom, dilate very large. Meaning, when that happens, their blood pressure drops way down low. Yes? And what is the treatment? EpiPen, right? Epinephrine, epi for epinephrine. That's the treatment, yes? And it's a member, a vasoconstrictor, and gets the blood heart rate up, okay? Okay, I mentioned low blood pressure. Our book says hypotensive shock. Low blood pressure, severe, okay? You can die within minutes, and again, the treatment is epinephrine, EpiPen. Now, there are also certain ones that come on slowly. If you change laundry detergents, and over the next couple of weeks, your skin starts getting itchy and irritated and such, right? It's called contact dermatitis. You come into contact with a chemical and it gets itchy, right? Contact dermatitis, okay? Now, 2, that's the basis of the giving them the TB shot. They stick it under there and they inject a little bit of that toxin. And if you're hypersensitive to it, it gets red and swollen and swells up. And you show the nurse, and the nurse goes, okay, all right, you've been exposed to it. You got to have a chest x-ray now. So that's the way it was when I was working in hospitals for the 8 years that I did. Okay? Okay. Now, make sure you make the next couple of classes, right? Because we're going to have a review very quickly.